Hello everyone, this is part 2 of our series on Scrum and Agile anti-patterns. And today we would debunk the myth that the scope of sprints in Agile should not change once the sprint has begun. But before we discuss of how this is an anti-pattern, let's first understand of what Scrum is, on what principles is Scrum based on. So Scrum is based on the core foundation of empiricism and lean thinking. Now, what empiricism is? Empiricism says that the knowledge comes from experience. Plan your next steps with the knowledge that you already have today, not based on the knowledge or whatever you assume you would acquire tomorrow. It is also important that if you wish to achieve success with empiricism, you must practice its three pillars, the three pillars of empiricism: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Now, Scrum uses or provides you 5 events to enable you to empirically control your work. Those 5 events are sprint planning, daily scrums, reviews, retrospectives, and sprint itself. So transparency says that the emergent work and processes must be visible to everyone who is doing the work and to everyone who is consuming the work. That is, all the people who will receive the work. Once you have the needed transparency, you must use all the sprint events to inspect your emergent work and processes and adapt based on any new information that you get. If, of course, adaptation is needed, that all the adjustments, if you have to make, you must make it as soon as possible, as soon as any new information emerges. So you plan the sprint at the sprint planning meeting, come up with a sprint goal, which is nothing but why the sprint would be valuable. Then pull the items into the product backlog, which you think is essentially the work that you would do to make or add value to the sprint goal. That is, the what are the things that you would do to achieve the why. So the sprint goal and the product backlog is essentially a sprint scope. It comprises of the why and the what. Because this entire process is emergent, it means that the team would keep the emergent work and processes transparent and inspect its progress towards the sprint goal at every given opportunity, at every opportunity that they get, so that it is able to adapt and adjust its work as soon as possible. Now we know the sprint goal, that is the why, is a subset of the product goal and is necessarily not emergent inside the sprint. That is, it doesn't change. However, the subset of the product backlog, that is the sprint backlog, that is emergent in nature. The team, on every opportunity that it gets, each time they have the information, they inspects the what they are doing as to it still fits to the why. The developers work during the sprint, they keep the sprint goal in mind. If the work turns out to be different than they expected, they collaborate with the product owner to negotiate the scope of the sprint. And of course, within the sprint, they negotiate to cut or reduce the sprint backlog. They could add stories, they could remove stories, they could edit user stories, add details, refine, do everything and anything that is needed. Also, if there is any new information discovered which alienates the sprint goal from the larger product goal, or if it makes the sprint goal redundant, the product owner cancels the sprint. But of course, that is not what we are here to discuss today. Let me make you understand by giving you a simple real life example. My product goal is to keep my wife happy. And for me, each day is a sprint. In order to keep my wife happy today, I come up with a sprint goal which says, delight my wife by serving her a sumptuous dinner. Now, this sprint goal of mine would not change or get cancelled normally. Cooking and serving her favorite meal is valuable to me, as it would bring happiness to my wife, so it's valuable to her. Now, to serve her a good meal, I decide to cook some of our favorite dishes, some vegetables, some pulses, rice, bread, dessert. This would be the what part. I start cooking and I discovered that the vegetables that I intended to cook went rotten. Now, with my sprint goal of delighting my wife at dinner, I changed the what, wherein I abandoned my intention to cook vegetables and instead prepare some fried potatoes as a substitute. So essentially, I was happy to delight my wife, and this is empirical process control. So essentially, if you look at the sprint backlog, it was never embedded. The scope of the sprint was never fixed at any point of time. The goal was fixed, but the backlog was emergent. So how can you prevent something from changing when it was meant to change all the time? Remember one thing, everything in a Scrum is meant to enable you to embrace change and not to resist it, no matter at what point of the sprint you are. Okay, thank you everyone for listening to me. We were able to teach you two things. One, that having a frozen sprint scope is an anti-pattern. The second, that you must have a product goal of delighting your wife. So goodbye till we meet again on another interesting topic. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my videos if you're interested to hear more or learn more interesting stuff. Thank you.